how long have you been in the martial arts industry, and what got you into it?
Okay, so the biggest intro for me was my dad. My dad was an instructor. He was a non-classical kung fu, or gung fu as they called it in those days, instructor. And so pretty much growing up, there were black belt magazines and inside kung fu magazines, and there were books and equipment. And in our rumpus room, we had like a floor to ceiling in there. So it was always there. And I like to say that it sunk in by osmosis, like it just kind of happened. Add in the fact that growing up, my parents bought a house, and unfortunately 10 years later, Housing Commission bought out the rest of the suburb. And so some pretty interesting people became our neighbours and things like that. So there was that. I'm one of three boys, and I went to a pretty tough all-boys school. So all those things factored in. I just thought, being able to fight's a necessary skill. So,
Yep.
and we'd have these get-togethers where people would come over our house. We'd get, 10 guys would come over. We'd have these two sets of boxing gloves that, one was probably 16 ounce and one was probably 30 years old, and we'd spar, and it just
Like
basically
a
started
fight
from there.
night.
Yeah, pretty much I don't want to say underground. I don't want to try and make it sound that way. It was pretty bad, but just through all that, I guess, where I grew up and all the rest of it just, I could see the relevance and why I needed to be able to have those skills. And to this day, I still see it as a valid skill and something that everyone needs to have an idea about.